Don't miss the awesome Naruto stories my sister creates. Her last channel was hacked, so to stay in the loop, please subscribe to her new channel. It would mean a lot to her, and you won't regret it. Hello to all lovers of lemon scenes. I invite you all to my boosty so you can watch your favorite Naruto What If stories in complete comfort. A subscription to Naruto Lemon, the first video with a full lemon, is already on my boosty channel. Dare! The summer turned out to be hot. Kakashi, like thousands of residents of the metropolis, was languishing in the heat. When the right train arrived, Hatake was very happy. Today, as always, he was going to the university. In addition to studying, Kakashi also worked, and he did not live in the city center, so it took quite a long time to get there. This day was no different from the previous ones. The most ordinary, the most boring. Kakashi glanced at the crowd of those who, like him, were going somewhere. Boring. Although, wait. Hatake's gaze caught on something. Something bright and unusual. It was a guy standing almost at the very door. He listened to music on headphones and even closed his eyes, smiling slightly at something. The guy was bright, golden disheveled hair, some stripes on his cheeks. Even the clothes are bright, an orange t-shirt and light blue jeans. The strap of a red and black backpack is slung over his shoulder. This guy somehow intrigued Kakashi. Just what? Appearance? I think no. It was as if something was hovering around this boy, calm, serenity. Hatake clearly felt this. Looks like a schoolboy. Should I come over and get acquainted or something? No, I don't think it's worth it, thoughts quickly flashed through Hatake's head, although his gaze, no, and again stopped at the unusual boy. If it weren't for classes, I would definitely have met. Okay, I still won't see him in such and such a crowd. Kakashi was a fairly attractive young man of 20 years old. Girls always came up to him to meet him, but Hatake himself rarely met. Studying always took a lot of time, and there was no need for a serious guy to do it. However, the blonde who attracted Kakashi's attention made him reconsider some of his views. At the right stop, Kakashi got off without even looking to see if the guy stayed or left the car the same way. Why upset yourself? The guy thought and tried to change his train of thought to a working one. Kakashi studied at one of the most prestigious universities in the country. And it wasn't easy for the guy. Hatake had to work and study hard to meet the required standards. Quickly entering the huge building and going to the desired audience, Kakashi sat down in the first row. Basically, students rarely sat there for many reasons, which was convenient for Hatake himself. So persistent fans did not stick to him and did not interfere with his studies. Today the first couple had a lecture from, perhaps, the most extraordinary teacher, Namikaze Minato. The fairly young professor was passionate, as the students realized, about only two things in life. The first was his subject, anatomy, and the second, or rather, the second was his son. Professor Namikaze mentioned his son often, even too much. The entire group of students was already aware of what an independent, wonderful and simply beautiful child their teacher was. Many people didn't pay attention to this, because each teacher had his own quirks, so Minato was not the worst option in this regard. Today, oddly enough, the professor was passionate solely about his subject and was not distracted by memories from the childhood of his beloved son. Kakashi, sitting alone in the front row, calmly took notes. It's strange, now I understand why that guy seemed familiar to me. He was very similar to our lecturer. However, it could have seemed like it to me because of the color of my hair. A day passed, then another, and Kakashi really forgot about that blonde, until next week on the same day, Thursday, he saw the light top of his head again. And again it was rush hour, crowds of people, and it was difficult to just breathe, and not just try to squeeze through somewhere. The blonde guy was again listening to music on headphones with his eyes closed. It seemed as if he didn't care about this whole mortal world, much less any crowd. No, this time, perhaps, it's worth getting to know each other. Kakashi decided that he wouldn't miss a second chance and therefore began to slowly squeeze towards the blonde. There was nothing left to do, but then the train stopped and the crowd poured out. Where is he? Where did he go? This is just some kind of mockery. In such a crowd it was not surprising to lose sight of your goal. Turning his head in different directions in an attempt to spot the blonde head, Kakashi sighed heavily and looked around. It's good that this is my station, otherwise I would have to wait for the next train, the young man thought, and then looked at his wristwatch. I am late. A young man with unusual white hair and a scar crossing his left eye ran through the student-filled corridors of the university. The bell just rang, which did not add optimism to Kakashi Hatake, but it did increase his speed. It was necessary to be late today. And I lost that fair-haired guy in the crowd, and couldn't keep track of time. Thoughts flashed through the student's head with even greater speed. Slowing down at the turn, the guy deftly slipped into the classroom, only perceiving out of the corner of his eye that the professor had not yet appeared. Sitting down in the first row and catching his breath, Kakashi quickly took out writing utensils and a notebook. Teacher Namikaze was delayed, but it was today that made Hatake happy. After another 5 minutes, the professor finally appeared, who was in very high spirits. The teacher conducted the first half of the lesson as usual. The lecture was interesting and even humorous in some moments. This is precisely what distinguished Namikaze-sensei, his manner of easy and understandable presentation of even the most mind-blowingly complex material. However, before the break, the teacher delighted everyone. After the bell we will continue, and shortly before the end of the lesson you will write a short test to test your knowledge. And the sensei left the audience. It took a couple of seconds for the unlucky students to understand what was said, but after the realization finally set in, the audience was filled with noise, hustle and bustle. Most of them rushed to reread or revise the lectures. Someone even tried to figure out how to make spurs in just 5 minutes. And the most resourceful ones immediately tried to move closer to the smartest ones in the group. Only the first row was in relative peace, since only Hatake was sitting there, calmly leafing through his notebook. Kakashi was smart enough, but the fact that he always sat in front was disadvantageous for the sticky students. The place is too noticeable and inconvenient for cheating. Even the girls, who were always making eyes at both the interesting teacher and the no less interesting student of the group, still refrained from sitting in the front row. The bell rang, Namikaze-sensei returned and continued his lecture. 20 minutes before the end of class, the teacher gave a test. "Do it early and you can be free," Minato said with a smile, to which he received frowning glances from the students, who strongly doubted that they would even have time to write this test. As Kakashi thought, there was nothing extraordinary in the test, so, we wrote this down. Minato-sensei told this, but I came across this somewhere in a scientific article that sensei advised me to read. Well, I did everything. Let's double check. Kakashi, with a completely unemotional face, calmly wrote everything down and double-checked it. It was because of this interesting character of his, an absolutely calm expression on his face in almost any situation, that Hatake had many problems. Firstly, he was not given a pass by some clingy girls who did not understand the word "no" at all, or who thought that Hatake was flirting in this way. And secondly, these were male students, for the most part, who considered the scar-faced man an upstart and an arrogant person. But here Kakashi was helped by his passion for Aikido, so no one was in a hurry to pick on the strange white-haired guy. Considering it inappropriate to just sit in the classroom, Hatake, under the gloomy looks of his classmates, passed the test and, quickly gathering his things, went to the door. Hatake hurried to leave the audience. He practically jerked the door open, quickly walked out and turned sharply to the side. It was this unusual ardor that played a cruel joke on Hatake. Kakashi encountered someone who clearly intended to enter this audience. The guy who crashed sharply began to fall back and unconsciously grabbed Hatake's clothes, pulling him after him. As a result, both fell to the floor, and even Kakashi, who did not expect all this, felt someone else's lips under his lips for a moment. Rising sharply, Hatake stared in amazement at such a familiar face, now wrinkled clearly in pain. "Hey, how are you?" Kakashi asked, getting up and helping the familiar golden-haired blonde up. "It's fine, I just hit the back of my head," and the guy looked up at Hatake. "This is the first time I've seen such a rich blue color of the iris," the only thought flashed through Kakashi's mind, stunned by everything that had happened. The blonde tried to pick up the backpack lying on the floor, but, apparently, from the blow, he was pulled to the side. Carefully. Kakashi quickly grabbed the guy by the arm, preventing him from falling again, and immediately picked up his backpack. "Are you sure you're okay?" "Yes, it's fine, everything's fine," the guy was still rubbing the back of his head. And then the bell rang. Students began to emerge from the classrooms, including the one from which Hatake had recently literally flown out. Kakashi was just about to ask what a student was doing at the university when Minato-sensei's concerned voice was heard. "Naruto? What are you doing here? You're kind of pale. Are you okay? So, let's come to me. Go." Before Kakashi could even open his mouth, the sensei took the young man to his office. And only a minute later it dawned on the student. Yes, he is the same son of Namikaze. That's why he seemed familiar to me. Naruto. Stop. I have his backpack in my hands. Inspired by such luck, an extra opportunity to talk with Naruto, Kakashi quickly went in the direction where his sensei and his son had disappeared. Kakashi walked quickly, maneuvering between students and teachers, towards Professor Namikaze's office. It was not for nothing that the university was prestigious and expensive for most students. It was because of this that prominent scientists like Minato Namikaze had their own personal laboratories and offices. Hatake, being a meticulous student, knew perfectly well the location of the office he needed now. With his own bag on his back and Naruto's backpack in his hands, Kakashi walked to the door and knocked and immediately walked in without waiting for an invitation. "Sorry, Professor Namikaze, but the young man left his backpack." Kakashi immediately got down to business, looking at Naruto sitting on the chair. Minato, who was fussing around looking for something in his huge closet, emerged from there and looked at the violator of peace and quiet. "Oh, it's you, Kakashi-kun, thank you for bringing my son's backpack. By the way, meet me. Kakashi, this is my son, Naruto. Naru, this is one of my most promising students, Kakashi Hatake. By the way, Naru, you never told me how you managed to fall." Having introduced the young people to each other, Minato again buried himself in the depths of the closet. "You just listen to me, Dad," Naruto began, while making some incomprehensible signs to Kakashi. Hatake did not understand anything, but decided to simply remain silent. "The floor was wet, so I slipped. And your student helped me. In general, you know how it happens to me sometimes." "Yeah, it happens." "Oh. I found ammonia. And who pushed him there so far?" Minato pulled out a small bottle with the required liquid. But Naruto rolled his eyes at his father's words, showing what he thought about who could be in charge of this holy of holies of the elder Namikaze. "So, just in case, keep some cotton wool with ammonia so you don't faint. Kakashi, thank you again for your help, but we're already leaving. Come on, son, we need to do a tomography, otherwise you might have a concussion." And Kakashi was unexpectedly pushed out of the professor's office. The sensei himself, having locked the door, quickly pulled his son in a new direction. Hatake, looking after the restless professor, thought that following him would be too suspicious and even indecent. Still, In fact, he had only just met Naruto. So citing concerns about his condition, although this also happened, is somewhat stupid. And upon hearing the bell, Hatake quickly realized that he was already late for the second class that day. The day at the university passed almost as usual, except for the fact that Kakashi approached Namake's office several times, hoping that he had already returned and he could find out more. However, the sensei never showed up, which made Hatake somewhat upset. Realizing that he wouldn't learn anything today, Kakashi went home. Arriving at his small rented apartment, the guy quickly changed clothes and, taking his backpack, went out again. Hatake went to work. Thanks to the fact that he studied at a preferential department, Kakashi did not pay for his studies, but he also had to live on something. In the mornings, several times a week, Kakashi worked part-time at a local bakery. But in the evenings he worked in a cafe. Sometimes on weekends he also worked at the post office as a mail carrier. All this was far from the profession of a doctor, but it helped in everyday life. Besides, Kakashi absolutely did not know how to relax. If he did not work, then he studied, if he did not study, then he slept, and if he did not sleep, then he worked. Walking to the cafe, Hatake mentally replayed the events of the day. Why am I so attracted to this guy? I really don't have time to do anything else, and there's no need, probably. Although, there was still something about that boy. Just what? No, I definitely have to figure it out. The shift went quite normally. Returning home again, Kakashi took a shower and sat down to study his textbooks. Only after 12 at night did he begin to nod off too much, which is why he decided to go to bed. Already falling asleep, Hatake for some reason again remembered the blonde son of Minato-sensei. And then he sat up abruptly in bed. The dream vanished as if by chance. Yes, I kissed him. How did I manage to miss this? Oh. And Kakashi fell back onto the pillow. I even started talking to myself. This is some kind of obsession. That's it, sleep and don't think about anything else. And Hatake finally forced himself to sleep. Several days passed quite normally. Hatake decided not to bother himself with the unknown of what and who. Although even with this decision, the first thing I tried to do was ask Namake-sensei about Naruto's health. Perhaps self-hypnosis would have had its effect if on the fourth day, while riding on the train to the university, Kakashi again did not notice the golden crown of Naruto, who again, by some simply unthinkable accident, found himself in the same carriage as Hatake. This is definitely some kind of obsession. Not otherwise. However, why not? And Kakashi began to squeeze towards the blonde. Kakashi confidently approached, or rather even squeezed through the crowd towards the blonde guy, who, as usual, listened to music with his eyes closed. Hatake had to touch Naruto's shoulder to get his attention. Naruto opened his eyes somewhat perplexedly and looked around the space, and when he saw Kakashi, he smiled and took off his headphones. Hello. I didn't think I'd meet you here, Naruto said cheerfully, clearly really happy about such an unexpected meeting. Hello. How are you feeling? In terms of? The guy didn't immediately understand. Oh, you're talking about that incident. Yes, I have a strong head, so everything is fine. And thank you for not telling your father everything. He is too caring for me. And you would definitely get screwed if your father considered you guilty. The blonde smiled again. By the way, I'm going to see him at the university. You too? Yes, to class. By the way, I'm Kakashi Hatake. I remind you, just in case. Haha, yes, I have a good memory and I remembered you right away. Well, I'm Naruto since we're introducing ourselves again. All the way to the desired station, and then to the university, the guys talked quite animatedly. Naruto did most of the talking, turning out to be as warm and sunny as his hair color. Kakashi guessed correctly, Naruto is a high school student at one of the prestigious schools. This year is his last, so next year the blonde will go to university. And this is where certain difficulties began. The fact is that the entire Namikaze family, one way or another, was connected with medicine. Jiraiya's grandfather was the owner of a chain of hot spring baths. How does this relate to medicine, you ask? And the whole point is that, firstly, the springs themselves were special, as local residents said, miraculous and healing. And secondly, only in these baths, made in the old traditional style, could one purchase special natural oils and ointments, handmade under the direction of Tsunade-san herself. Tsunade Namikaze, Naruto's grandmother, was renowned in the field of healing using ancient techniques. Minato, the only son of the Namikaze couple, at one time decided to engage in scientific substantiation of the methods that his mother used. Therefore, after receiving a medical education, I became interested in science. And in this special environment of scientists, thanks to his scientific articles and several discoveries, a few years later he became just as famous. Therefore, Naruto was expected to at least continue the family traditions. However, the guy himself did not feel a calling in this. He wanted to become a writer. Moreover, this was not only a simple desire, Naruto had the gift of writing. Kakashi listened with pleasure, and sometimes with some surprise, to the younger Namikaze. While talking on various topics, mostly related to Naruto himself, Hatake caught himself thinking that he was pleased to listen to this boy. Moreover, the interest that he experienced for the first time only when looking at the boy did not disappear, but became even deeper. Now Kakashi wanted to know more about this golden-haired, smiling young man who hid so many interesting things inside himself. Kakashi would have continued to spend time talking, or simply in silence, listening to the young man's voice, but, alas, they not only went to the university itself, but also reached the floor where they had to disperse. "Oh, do you want to come here?" Naruto asked as he looked around the hallway filled with students. "Sorry, I'm completely babbling, and I'm probably tired of you too with my chatter." "No, nothing like that. I didn't even notice how time passed. But I really have to go to class." Kakashi looked at his wristwatch, noting that he still had 5 minutes before the start of the class. "Yes?" Naruto asked happily. "Honestly, I didn't expect such frankness from myself. Usually I only talk about such family topics so easily with Sasuke. So sorry again." And the blonde somewhat embarrassedly tousled his hair with his hand. Not worth it. Listen, you said that you have several completed stories. Not that I'm a great critic, but I'd love to read it." It's easy. Let's come to an agreement then. What is your telephone number?" Naruto immediately agreed and immediately dialed Hatake's number, causing the latter to see an unanswered call. "Okay," I ran. "And so 10 minutes later I'll come to my father, he's probably already vomiting and throwing up there." "Okay, let's call you." Kakashi waved his hand and walked towards his audience. Throughout his busy day with school and everyday activities, Kakashi thought about his conversation with Naruto. More than once Hatake caught himself starting to smile, and immediately pulled himself back. There were, however, a few dark moments. I wonder who this Sasuke is, with whom Naruto communicates so easily. Friend? The same schoolboy? Classmate? Or something more? So, stop. Namikaze Naruto is an ordinary acquaintance of mine, so it's none of my business who he is with some Sasuke. Then why does this annoy me? Okay, I'll get back from work and write a message to Naruto. Returning to the apartment, Kakashi quickly took a shower and put on the kettle for tea, then turned on the old laptop and looked at the wall clock, 10 in the evening. Grunting that the day had flown by so quickly, Kakashi took his phone and sent a message to Naruto's saved number. "Hi. This is Hatake. I hope I didn't wake you up. What are we going to do with the stories?" The kettle boiled and Kakashi made tea. I was terribly hungry, but it was late. It was early to get up in the morning, so the guy decided to simply fill his stomach with water, or rather tea, especially since the refrigerator was half empty. The guy forgot to run to the grocery store. The laptop finally turned on, and Hatake began looking through the assignments given by the university. Studying at a preferential department, the guy had to give his best. The cell phone beeped and an answer came from Naruto. Hello. Of course not. I don't go to bed that early. Listen, are you going to university at the same time tomorrow? I can get there. Or let's meet somewhere. Kakashi looked at the calendar. Sometimes he was so tired that he simply forgot the day of the week. It turned out that tomorrow was Saturday. Having considered this and that, he wrote, "Can you approach the main building of the university tomorrow after 2? My classes will end and I will have free time." "Okay. Agreed, I will. See you tomorrow," came the answer almost immediately. Kakashi chuckled and began to complete tasks and study the material. If he wanted to spend more time with Naruto tomorrow, he would have to do something in advance. Hatake looked forward to the end of classes as never before. After 2 hours in the afternoon, trying not to run so as not to look ridiculous, the silver-haired, stately guy quickly left the university building. There were a lot of students, and it was very difficult to spot the right person in such a crowd. A warm breeze blew, and Kakashi turned slightly to the side, while his gaze fell on the alley of trees. The desired object, Naruto, was leaning against one of the old cherries. He was listening to music as usual, but at the same time he was still peering into the crowd of students, obviously also looking for Hatake himself. Kakashi walked towards him and was soon noticed. Smiling, Naruto took a few steps towards him. "Well? Where shall we go?" "Let's go for a walk. If you walk through the park, then on the other side you can look into one good coffee shop. I hope you have a positive attitude towards coffee drinks. They serve good tea there too." "Coffee house? With cakes?" "Yes. Then I'm all for it." A casual conversation ensued again. Naruto shared his thoughts and impressions quite openly, but today he tried to get Kakashi himself to talk. "So you live on your own?" Naru asked in surprise. "I thought you were born here." "This is true. Only I didn't stay at home. At the first opportunity one rented an apartment. I have a very tense relationship with my father. And, frankly, I don't want to talk about it. And my mother died 8 years ago. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But I only know my mother from photographs. She died during my birth. I don't even know how to feel about this. I love her rather as a certain image created from photographs and stories of relatives. Therefore, perhaps, it is difficult for me to understand what it is like to lose a loved one so early. Once again I apologize. Never mind. Forget. I'm used to it." Kakashi waved his hand. They were now walking through a park filled with people of all ages. The trees provided blissful shade, and soon they walked across a bridge crossing an artificial lake, which also provided coolness. In a word, the weather and company were wonderful. "So what about your stories?" Exactly. Naruto even began to fuss, reaching into his backpack, and then stopped, realizing that it was still uncomfortable on the street. "At first I wanted to print it, but then it turned out that we ran out of sheets of paper. In short, I sent you everything on a flash drive. I'll give it to you at the cafe." The coffee shop, located just opposite the park, had a surprisingly cozy appearance. The facade of the building was covered with climbing plants that had just begun to bloom. Several tables under umbrella awnings stood outside. The view of the quiet street and park was wonderful, so many tables were occupied. Kakashi and Naruto walked into the coffee shop itself. It was just as cozy inside. Soft sofas, flowers in pots and floor vases, paintings with landscapes on the walls, and waiters and waitresses in special uniforms reminiscent of European fashion of the 19th century. Having sat down at a free table, the young people began to choose from the proposed menu. Naruto settled on a chocolate parfait and a large cappuccino. Hatake chose creamy ice cream and black coffee. The aromas of freshly ground coffee, cinnamon and vanilla were in the air, giving a certain charm to the establishment and setting us in a positive mood. Soon the order was completed. Naruto quickly finished his parfait and began, seemingly unobtrusively, to glance at Kakashi's still untouched ice cream. Hatake chuckled and pushed a tall glass of ice cream towards the guy. I didn't think you had such a sweet tooth." Kakashi grinned and ordered a pot of green tea. Naruto blushed a little. "It happens. But I control myself." "For what?" Kakashi chuckled again. "Yes, there was a moment in childhood when I terribly overate chocolate, after that I can't look at it." "You just ate a chocolate parfait." "So it was regular milk, and as a child I ate too much white." Naruto explained as a matter of course. "By the way, maybe you'll come to visit me tomorrow? You already know your father, so I think nothing bad will happen." "Do you think so?" Kakashi didn't expect this invitation, but he didn't show it. "Yes, sure. In addition, I will introduce you to my closest friends, the Uchiha brothers. Sasuke is in my class with me, and Itachi is his older brother. By the way, he seems to be studying at your university just like you, but in a different specialty. At the same time, maybe you'll have time to read something and tell me how it turned out for me." "Well, if you insist, then I won't refuse. Maybe at the same time I'll clarify some points with Minato-sensei." Kakashi said the last phrase only so that the boy would not think that Hatake was trying to visit him, and it seemed to be fitting. In addition, Kakashi was very intrigued by the words that Naruto's friends would be there. Try. The father at home is completely different. Okay, since we agreed, let's go shopping. I finished my tea. There should be a video game salon nearby, and you should also go to the music store. Having paid, both went out again onto the sunny street. How strange everything is turning out, Hatake thought, half listening to Naruto's story about some kind of musical group. Well, let's see where all this leads. And we'll see about this Sasuke too. 11 in the morning. Kakashi barely found the quiet street he needed, filled with private houses. Hatake had never been to this area of the city, so he almost got lost in the streets that were similar to each other. "I knew that I would go astray. Well, at least I left early. I don't even know, is it early or late for a visit on a Sunday?" The silver blonde, out of habit, looked at his watch, which was unusually worn on his right hand, and not on his left, although the guy was right-handed. And so, a small well-kept house on 2 floors appeared before the young man. After checking the piece of paper on which Naruto had written the address and approximate route, Kakashi confidently walked to the door, opening the gate. "Me too, cartographer. The boy clearly writes stories better than he draws and explains routes." Kakashi chuckled and pressed the bell. A cheerful trill was heard. "Naruto!" Minato's cry was heard from the depths of the house. "Open the door." "Pop! I can't. You yourself told me to get that damn lamp out of the attic." This scream was heard from the open window of the 2nd floor. "Don't you dare swear in the house!" Minato yelled, already opening the door, causing Kakashi to almost be blown away by a sound wave. "And she's not fucking stupid, she's old." "No. Rare." Minato said quietly and finally looked at the guest. "Oh. Kakashi-kun. What destinies." Good morning, Professor," Kakashi greeted out of habit. True, now Namikaze Sr. did not resemble his teacher self. He was wearing a homemade kimono, and his whole appearance was somehow homely and cute, which somewhat embarrassed the guy. They are so similar to Naruto. Especially now, Naruto-kun invited me. Yes? Minato was somewhat surprised, letting his student into the house. Well, don't stand on the threshold. Come in. Yes, Naru said something about friends. But for some reason I thought about my school friends. Minato led Kakashi into the living room, combined with a dining room and kitchen. The dining and kitchen areas were separated by a high bar counter, on which stood a variety of loose herbs and spices in glass jars. It is for you. Kakashi handed over a bag with a label on the side of a rather famous confectionery shop. The guy felt that it was not appropriate to come empty-handed. About. Suddenly. Well, thank you. I'll go put the kettle on. Minato took the bag and went into the kitchen, not visible from the living room. Dad, who came? Naruto's voice was heard as he quickly descended the stairs. In one hand he carried an old lamp. And then he saw Hatake. Hello. You quickly found my home. Well, how do you like our mansion? Wonderful, it's obviously bigger than my apartment, Kakashi chuckled, thinking to himself, if only you knew that I spent 2 hours circling around the area. By the way, here's your flash drive. I copied everything onto the laptop. And what do you think? Naruto asked, while he began to twirl the lamp he had already forgotten in his hands. He was clearly nervous. I like it. I only read the first story. But I like your style. Although I'm probably an unworthy critic, Kakashi grinned. What do you mean? Minato's voice immediately rang out, carrying a tray with a teapot, cups and cakes. Of course, about my future profession. Naruto snorted and began to look at the sweet with curiosity. Where do we get the cakes from? Where, my student brought it. And, by the way, you are our sweet tooth. And this is what the one who flies into the astral plane from the nut cream tells me? Naruto immediately teased, helping to arrange the dishes. And what? I only have cream in my favorites. And you have the whole confectionery shop. If I didn't cook normal food, you'd only eat all sorts of sweets, Minato snorted, pouring the tea. And then he turned to Kakashi, so, has he already told you about this strange idea of becoming a writer? So this is weird? Naru was indignant with his mouth full. Chew and don't talk. Your son writes very interestingly, so I think he has every chance of success, Hatake answered, sipping his tea. By the way, Naruto inserted a word after chewing. Before his father started the conversation again, the Uchiha should come to us. Sasuke has training in the morning, so he and Itachi will arrive a little later. It's them again, Minato muttered. And what? Naruto was surprised. Nothing. Yes, also, maybe Kiba and Niji will come by. I need to give them one disc. Yes? Minato looked at his son strangely. You're in great demand. Come on, ordinary school friends. Naruto waved his hand and proceeded to the next cake, supposedly Kakashi's, but Hatake didn't pay any attention to it. The further conversation took place in the same cheerful atmosphere. Minato and Naruto periodically teased each other, but Kakashi could see that this was more of a habitual way of behaving this way. Minato clearly cared for his son, and Naruto, although he snorted, also loved his father. Sitting next to each other, they looked more like brothers than father and son. Kakashi also took part in the conversation as much as he could. Basically, these were conversations either on university topics or on completely abstract topics. After 12 the doorbell rang again. Naruto went to open it. It turned out that both the Uchiha brothers and Naruto's classmates arrived almost simultaneously. Minato looked around the crowd and smiled very sweetly. Oh, my pie is just ready. I'll make some more tea now, and fled to the kitchen. Kakashi was inwardly surprised by this behavior of his sensei, but outwardly remained unperturbed. While Minato was busy in the kitchen, Hatake met Naruto's friends and classmates. Sasuke Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha were very similar to each other. The blood relationship was immediately noticeable, the same gestures, scanty facial expressions, and their faces themselves. However, Kakashi, with some inner instinct, felt that the older Uchiha, Itachi, reacted more neutrally towards him, but the younger, for some unknown reason, disliked him, although he did not show it clearly. Itachi actually studied at the same university as Hatake, but in the economic management department for future major executives. Sasuke was Naruto's classmate. But the rest of the guys, Kiba, Neji, Shikamaru and Choji were either classmates or from parallel classes at the same school. Kiba and Neji were whispering about something, glancing towards the kitchen, where Minato was still fiddling around. Shikamaru reluctantly answered Naruto's questions about some school subject, but Choji sniffed the delicious smells of the pie. Kakashi talked with Itachi. It turned out that they had common teachers for several subjects. This was the reason for the conversation. Sasuke, grunting at Naruto's questions, did not take part in his conversation with Shikamaru, but listened to everything attentively. Minato soon appeared with a tray with a cut pie on it. "Naru, bring the cups." "Okay, what's the pie with?" "With apples," Minato said, smiling. "Well, Pop, I don't like them." Naruto said, upset, and went to get the dishes. I know, Minato said, smiling just as sweetly. Once again, Kakashi found this strange. "Kakashi-kun, you already ate sweets, so I'm not giving it to you." Sensei's sweet smile began to strain Hatake. Of course, Minato-sensei, the silver-haired man, simply agreed, deciding to limit himself to tea. As a result, the pie was served to all the guests except Minato himself, Naruto and Kakashi. Slowly sipping the tea, Hatake noticed that the Uchiha brothers were just pretending rather than eating. "But my classmates ate almost everything," Choji tried especially hard. The conversation continued, but 15 minutes passed, and the four classmates became somewhat tense. Problematic, Shikamaru, who was sitting next to Kakashi, muttered quietly and said louder, "We'll probably go." "Yes, guys?" Yes, of course," Neji, Kiba and Choji quickly answered. "So early?" Minato was surprised. "Well, I won't detain you then." "Yes, thank you." The friends quickly gathered and almost ran out into the corridor. Naruto rushed to see him off. And Minato, with a strange smile, carried the dirty dishes into the kitchen, humming something under his breath. Kakashi and the Uchiha brothers remained in the room. "Minato-san hasn't changed at all," Itachi noted, to which Sasuke just snorted. "Sorry?" Kakashi didn't understand. "I don't know why Minato-san took pity on you and didn't treat you to pie. But I'll tell you for sure, there was clearly a laxative there again." Itachi chuckled. "Why does he need this?" "And so that Naruto is not pestered. Minato-san loves his son very much, so he considers him too small and too attractive. However, I think it will always be like this." Naruto and Minato soon appeared. The latter looked at the Uchiha brothers with a dissatisfied look and asked in an unctuous voice. "Didn't you like the pie?" "What are you saying, Minato-san?" "Very much so," Itachi smiled sincerely, and Sasuke just nodded his head. "Yes? Okay." The five of them sat and talked for a while, but soon Kakashi's phone rang. The owner of the bakery called and asked Hatake-kun to help this evening. The guy sympathized with this middle-aged woman, who always treated him kindly, so he agreed. Kakashi, having explained the reason, began to get ready. Oddly enough, the Uchiha brothers followed his example. But Minato, asking to wait a minute, disappeared somewhere to appear with some kind of book in his hands. "Here you go, Kakashi-kun, this is the same book that I talked about last time at the lecture. I think you will find it interesting to read it. You can return it later when it is convenient for you." "Sensei. Thank you very much, it's even inconvenient." Well, what are you talking about? It will be useful for you. Thank you again and goodbye. Bye-bye. The Uchiha and Naruto brothers came out with Kakashi. All four of them went in the same direction. The brothers walked to the parking lot. And Naruto saw them all off. The blonde was mostly talking to Sasuke, who was asking questions, so Kakashi was forced to exchange a few words with Itachi. When the Uchiha got into the car and drove off, Naruto turned to Hataka. Let's go. In terms of? Let's go, I say, to the stop. Naruto chuckled, well, how do you like my house? Very interesting. You have many friends. Yes, there is such a thing. I'm sociable. Honestly, it even seemed to me that I was superfluous there. Hataki opened up somehow sadly and completely unexpectedly for himself. However, words cannot be taken back, so Kakashi waited with some trepidation in his soul for Neru's reaction. Come on, come on. I think you fit in really well. Naruto stated this sincerely, and Kakashi felt as if a stone had been lifted from his soul. Thank you. Okay, there's my bus. Let's call you. Fine. Happily. It was really fun. Bye. Kakashi, sitting on the bus, thought about everything that had happened. Yes, maybe I don't quite fit into that environment, into the already established relationships, but everything can be changed. And Naruto was happy. Nice. Autumn has come. Gradually, with some reluctance, the trees began to change their green attire to gold or crimson. Kakashi had been communicating with the Namikaze family for over a month now. During this time, he got to know both his teacher and, most importantly, Naruto better. Quite often, the Uchiha brothers came to visit Namikaze, and occasionally Neru's classmates also dropped by. Minato grumbled, but still greeted guests cordially, sometimes arranging unplanned adventures for them. Kakashi, being attentive, noticed that Sasuke Uchiha clearly did not like him, Hataki, because of the attention that Naruto paid to him. Kakashi has not yet been able to understand what interests the eldest of the Uchiha brothers. Itachi was more secretive. Either he was just a family friend, or he had some feelings, again for whom? Hataki has not yet solved this riddle. But now, if I saw the eldest of the brothers at the university, I would communicate with him with pleasure. Itachi was an interesting conversationalist, in addition to being so mysterious. But Minato-sensei now, whenever possible, tried to load Hataki to the fullest, additional literature, interesting information, and even his own observations from experiments. Namikaze Sr. laughed, saying that finally he now has someone to talk to on topics that interest him, to which Naruto just snorted and began talking about the great writers of our time. Classes at the university ended, and Kakashi hurried home to change clothes and get to work. After quickly taking a shower and not even having a snack, Hataki pulled on a fresh shirt and jeans. I wonder how Naruto is doing. Today he was going to go to one of the publishing houses. It's a pity that I can only talk to him after work. It's good that even though I don't have classes at the university tomorrow, I just need to go to the library. But the day after tomorrow I will go to Naruto again. Kakashi, after reading several of Naruto's works, persuaded him to finally contact at least one of the magazines in order to publish some of his works. It was worth starting to do this now if Naru really wanted to become a writer. Hataki thought so, and therefore convinced the boy to go to different publishing houses. Throughout his entire shift, Kakashi was terribly nervous. It was not noticeable on his face, but some nervousness and absent-mindedness were present. That is why the owner and part-time cook of the cafe, Kisame-san, turned to Hataki. Boy, you don't look like yourself today. Look tired. Despite Kisame-san's terrifying appearance, he was a kind man. Go home early today and get some sleep. It's not crowded today anyway. Kisame-san, I'm quite. No. I don't want to hear anything. And this heavy-looking man with blue-dyed hair quickly approached Kakashi, who seemed miniature in comparison, shook Hatake out of the waiter's apron and pushed him towards the back room with the personal belongings of the cafe workers. Get ready quickly and go home. Rest comes first. You're already almost giving me the run for my money. Sighing heavily, Kakashi went to get his outerwear and bag. After getting dressed, he looked into the kitchen to say goodbye. Kisame-san, I'm going. Stand. Kakashi froze, not understanding what else came into his boss's mind, and soon everything became clear. Here you go, eat at home. Kisame handed over a large bag of packaged food from the cafe, because you've become painfully thin during your studies. Actually, Kakashi tried to get a word in. And don't thank me. The big man Kisame waved his hand and pushed Hatake out into the street, happily. Kakashi, looking at the closed back door to the cafe, just sighed heavily and went home. At least you don't have to go into the store, Kakashi thought and walked towards the rented apartment. Dusk was falling on the city, the lanterns had not yet been lit, so the colors of the streets, trees, and passers-by were somehow special, not the same as during the day. Shades of scarlet, twilight and the smells of autumn, everything created a lyrical mood. Before Kakashi could think about how Naruto was doing, his phone rang. Immediately quickly pulling out his mobile phone from the inside pocket of his jacket, Hatake pressed the button to accept the call. Yes, I'm listening. Kakashi. You won't believe it. The last magazine agreed to publish my story. As always, Naruto beamed with joy and optimism. Of course, I had to run. I went to 7 publishing houses. You imagine? At 7 o'clock. And under some pretext I was refused everywhere. I really didn't think they were like that. What are they? Kakashi chuckled, having calmed down already from the sound of this funny blonde's voice. Such. I even thought about giving up on all this. But then I remembered what I promised you, so I went to the last magazine. They write for teenagers, so they gave me the opportunity. They said that if they were interested, they could hire me as a non-staff employee, or something like that. I didn't even expect it. Naruto chattered non-stop, clearly impressed by what happened. Wow. How great is this? I'm very glad. Kakashi's voice sounded as usual, almost unchanged, but his face, which Naru could not see for obvious reasons, lit up with a warm smile, completely changing this cold, impassive expression. XO. I didn't ask if I was distracting you. Sorry. Are you very busy? No. I'm already on my way home. Class. I can't wait until Sunday to tell you everything. How I would like to meet you tomorrow, but my father said to be at home tomorrow. I also want to hear everything from you personally. Kakashi was already on the way to his house, so he said, let's talk later, I'm almost at the door. Oh yes, of course. Okay, see you later. And the phone began to emit beeps of an interrupted connection. Smiling at this expression, Kakashi put away his cell phone and went to his apartment. Waking up early on Saturday morning, Kakashi lay on his narrow bed for a while. I have a strange feeling. I'm somehow uneasy. What is it for? There are no couples at the university today. I only have plans to go to the library. So why is it so exciting? This is strange. All morning, while Hatake was getting himself in order, getting ready, and then also helping in Chiyo's bakery, he could not leave the feeling of something so strange, similar to expectation. So, stop racking your brains over all this nonsense. Whatever it is, if it has to happen, then it will happen. Having more or less calmed himself with such thoughts, Kakashi finally went to the university. Having arrived as usual, the young man entered the main building. And out of some habit, he took the exact road to the library that passed by Minato-sensei's office. Having already passed by, Hatake heard a shout from behind. Kakashi-kun. Wait. And the voice, unsurprisingly, belonged to Namikaze-san. Yes, Professor. Good afternoon. Yes, welcome. Come with me. It's you that I need. Minato, without any ceremony, grabbed Hatake by the arm and pulled him into his office. In the office, Namikaze sat the student on one of the chairs. And he leaned against the table. I'm going to a symposium in Europe, more precisely, in Switzerland. Congratulations, sensei. So far, Kakashi did not understand at all why the teacher needed him. Nothing. Minato clasped his hands and began to walk from corner to corner. Then no congratulations, Hatake said complacently, following the nervous professor with his eyes. Yes, thank you. So here it is. I have no one to leave Naruto with. Minato said this in such a tone, as if there was nothing worse in this world. At first I thought that either his grandfather, that is, my father Jiraiya, or my mother would help. But as luck would have it, you see, they already have the nth reason to celebrate some anniversary in their life together. In short, they drove off without any warning to rest. Me too, newlyweds. At this moment, Minato looked more like his son than ever, the same expression, almost the same expressions, and the same facial expressions. Kakashi listened carefully to the sensei's outpourings, not yet realizing the full significance of the role that Minato had already invented for him. In general, Naruto will be left unattended for almost 2 weeks. How, I ask you, can I leave my son alone? I don't know, Kakashi answered the first thing that came to mind, although for some reason the second response phrase was easy. Exactly. And I don't know, although no. I know. You, Kakashi-kun, will move in with me for a while and look after my Naru. Minato voiced his thought as the only right decision, while shining like a polished coin. Why is it me? The mask of indifference cracked, revealing Kakashi's sincere bewilderment. How why? Because only you, such a responsible and serious young man, can I entrust with the most precious thing, my son. But, you still have friends, the same Uchihas. What do you mean, still? I know their father, Fugaku, very well. He was always a walker. And the sons, by the way, followed him. I can't trust my son to them. Both of them are suspicious. And my Naruto is too innocent to understand anything. In short, either you move into our house while I'm away, or you'll take my exam until you're blue in the face. Minato has finally come up with the most terrible punishment. Blackmail, Kakashi muttered, thinking at the same time, but the premonitions were not deceiving. I felt that I had to stay at home, okay, sighing heavily, Hatake stood up, tomorrow I'll come to you with my things. Sensei, can I go to the library now? No. Well, what else? Kakashi mentally begged, arching his eyebrow questioningly and looking at the professor. I have a car. We're coming to your place and you're packing your things right now. I have to check everything, since I'm leaving early tomorrow. So let's go. This is the first time I've seen Minato-sensei so nervous, however, for the first time in my memory, he's going on a business trip. I was clearly not ready for this. Kakashi examined Namikaze's back as he confidently walked towards the parking lot. In Kakashi's apartment, Minato examined everything with interest. There was nothing special to help with, since all the things Hatake needed were packed into one bag. But on the landing, when Kakashi ran into the owner of the house, Minato managed to blurt out that Hatake was moving in with him. To which Kakashi received such a sly look from the mistress and a wish. Kakashi-kun, don't forget about your studies. Well, thank you, sensei, for being friendly. I still have to live here. And again Kakashi drilled into the back of Minato, who was cheerfully humming something under his breath. I just wanted to sit in the library with books. Oh, no luck, Kakashi's thoughts revolved around what unexpectedly happened to him. Minato, sitting behind the wheel of his car, said something about Naruto's daily routine. And I can't say that I'm not happy, Hatake thought, it's just that this is all too unexpected. I can't even imagine how I'll live with Naruto under the same roof. However, I can handle it. I guess. That's it, we've arrived, Minato said cheerfully, driving into the courtyard of his house. I think Naruto will be happy. Amazing. It turns out Naruto doesn't know anything yet. Well, sensei, well, you're just a master of doing unexpected things. Kakashi took his bag with things in one hand, and hung his laptop and backpack on his shoulder. Minato was already opening the front door with his key when Kakashi approached. Walking into the house, Hatake took off his shoes and followed his teacher. From the living room came the sound of a TV working, and a little later voices were heard. Naruto, meet the guests. Dad. Well, what kind of guests? And by the way, where did you go so early? He himself told me to stay at home, so what? That means I wake up, you're not there, and there's a note on the table, I'll be back soon. Well, who does that, Dad? Son, it was necessary. It was with this phrase that Hatake entered the living room. Kakashi? Naruto was surprised, hello. Why do you need a bag? Naruto, Kakashi-kun has kindly agreed to keep you company while I go to the symposium. Minato announced pathetically. Yes, they very kindly forced me to agree. However, I didn't resist, Kakashi chuckled to himself, outwardly remaining unperturbed. Symposium? Keep company? Kakashi? For some reason, the questioning intonation grew with every word. Kakashi was even somewhat unpleasantly surprised by this. Am I unpleasant to him? However, Hatake still decided not to make hasty conclusions. Meanwhile, Naru continued, Dad. When were you even going to tell me about this? Well. I'm talking now. And what? Yes, nothing. It's just very unexpected. I wonder if you also confronted Kakashi with a fait accompli just today? Well. Having received no clear answer from his father, Naruto turned his questioning gaze to Hatake. And he just shrugged. Clear. Naruto had already studied both the taciturn Hatake and his father well enough, so he guessed how things were. Oh, sorry, Kakashi. I hope my father didn't ruin your plans? In principle, no, Hatake shrugged again, I'll take a day off from work. It's a long drive from here. I do not have time. Naruto. It's like you're talking to your father. Minato was indignant, then turned his pitiful gaze to Kakashi and said, Sorry, Kakashi-kun. I hope you won't refuse? No. Okay, Naruto sighed and got up from the couch. When are you leaving? He asked Minato. Early tomorrow morning, at 6. For how long? 2 weeks. Come on, Kakashi, I'll show you your room, Naru said after briefly glaring at his overcaring father. So, maybe I'll make some tea. Minato, slightly ashamed of his son, shouted after him. Yes, Naruto waved his hand. There were 2 guest rooms. On the second floor the room was smaller, but on the first floor it was larger. Naruto, after standing for a minute in thought, led Kakashi to the room that was on the first floor. Get settled, Naruto said, sitting down on the bed. You're not happy? Certainly. Naru clasped his hands. Well, how could your father not even ask you how this fits with your plans? I know what he does sometimes. I know how busy you are. You always have some kind of work and study. Woohoo. He didn't even consult me. It's like I'm 5 years old. At the first phrase, Hatake felt as if his heart sank somewhere down, but with each subsequent word, Kakashi suddenly realized that, it turns out, Naru was taking care of him. Don't worry about me. We can say that it will be something like a vacation. While Hatake was answering, he managed to put his simple belongings in the closet and put the laptop on the table, at the same time connecting it to charge. But Naruto, lying on his back and looking at the ceiling, sulked at his father for some time, but not for long. Listen. So you and I will be left alone. It seemed like it just dawned on the blonde. Well, yes. And what? Well, I'll tell you everything. I also want to show you one game. And also, Naruto. Kakashi-kun. Tea is ready. Minato's voice was heard. Let's go. Naruto shouted back and turned to Hataka again. You know, I'm glad that your father caught you in the role of my mother hen. Mother hens? Kakashi was surprised that Naru knew. I don't know him. Let's go have some tea. The rest of Saturday passed quite peacefully. Minato, once again apologizing to his student, still tearfully asked Naruto not to leave alone. And having received an affirmative nod, he immediately joyfully began to enlighten Hatake about his and his son's simple life, what Naru likes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what time does his school end, and so on and so forth. Naruto, who was trailing behind his father as he dragged Kakashi around the house, only grunted, and at the end declared. Honestly, if you close your eyes and just listen, it seems as if you, Dad, have chosen my bride and are preparing her for family life. Naruto smiled cheerfully. Me too, I found a wit. Who loves toast with scrambled eggs in the morning? What am I? So don't be indignant. Minato immediately found something to answer. While father and son exchanged jokes, they did not pay attention to the fact that Kakashi was confused by Naruto's words. But thanks to his composure, Hatake quickly pulled himself together. Due to the fact that Minato needed to get up early, all three of them went to bed early. Kakashi could not fall asleep in a new place for a long time, listening to the sounds of the silence of the night and the house itself. The time was approaching midnight, and there was no sleep in either eye. How much longer will I just stall for time? Do I like Naruto? Like. Even more. For the first time I feel so at ease with someone. With him I feel understood without words. So what's stopping me? I've never been a supporter of serious long-term relationships, but here. This can't even be called a relationship. So, friendship, and nothing more. I'm definitely in Naruto's close circle, but how close? He is even more familiar with the Uchihas, and perhaps spends more time with them. Wow, for the first time I regret that I'm no longer in school, and therefore I can't see Naru every day. It's simple, and at the same time complicated. Naruto. So close, and yet unattainable. I want more. I want to kiss, I want to hug, I want him to moan under me, and I also want him to want this himself. Yes. All. Enough of this nonsense. It's time to sleep. Kakashi rolled over onto his stomach and tried to sleep. And after some time he succeeded. But he still woke up early. A new house, a new, unusual place, and therefore unusual sounds. Kakashi woke up and didn't immediately understand where he was, but after looking closely, he recognized Namikaze's guest room. And after listening, Hatake realized that he was awakened by sounds, apparently from the kitchen. Kakashi was still in his pajama pants and went to the kitchen. It's 5 in the morning, and there's freshly brewed coffee on the stove, and Minato is frying eggs. Kakashi? Why are you so early? I would sleep. You can't wake up my Naru with an explosion ahead of schedule. By the way, you'll probably have to wake him up sometimes, he's a sleepyhead. Would you like some coffee? Yes. Kakashi sat down at the table and began to watch the quick and clear movements of Minato, who managed to both cook and set the table. The years of training in the field clearly took their toll. Will you have scrambled eggs? I can fry bacon too. No, thank you. Only coffee. Black. Yes, you have always been a man of few words, which is why I most often give you written work. And it's more interesting this way. Minato sat down opposite and began to eat breakfast. And Hatake at first only inhaled the aromas of coffee, then a little later he sipped the drink. Tasty coffee. Otherwise. Minato chuckled, yes, I'm sorry, again, you're just really going to help me out a lot. Minato-san, I already answered. So there's no point in repeating it. Yes, you're right here. Okay, I hope I'll find the house in the same place. Namikaze chuckled and quickly tidied everything up in the kitchen, leaving only coffee for Kakashi. Okay, I called a taxi there. Minato looked out the window onto the street. Oh. It's already arrived. Okay, happy to stay, call me if anything happens. It will be expensive. Oh, yes. Well, then I'll call you myself, or write on the internet. That's it, I left. Naruto is on you. Minato said goodbye again and left. Yeah, if only, Kakashi muttered and trudged into the bathroom, deciding that a cool shower would clearly help. During the time that Naruto woke up, Kakashi managed to get himself in order and do his university assignments. He also called his employers and took 2 weeks off. Having finished everything planned, Kakashi stared at the laptop monitor with some bewilderment. It's strange not to rush anywhere, very strange. I'll go make some coffee. What did Minato-sensei say? Does Naruto like toast and scrambled eggs for breakfast? Well, let's try. Grinning, Hatake went to explore new heights. As if he had guessed it right, Naruto woke up at 10 o'clock just in time for breakfast. Oh! Was the first reaction of the teenager who had not yet woken up when he saw Kakashi instead of Minato. Oh yes. What, Dad has already left? A long time ago, Kakashi chuckled and put breakfast on the table. Let me help. A sleepy, disheveled blonde in a loose t-shirt and shorts, more likely to get in the way than to help, but Hatake was quite happy with that. Breakfast was a success. Gradually, with the process of absorbing food, Naru finally woke up and began to chirp, as usual, in his own manner. Kakashi listened with pleasure to everything the blonde said. The topic here was not the main one. Naruto enthusiastically decided to tell everything that he apparently didn't have time to say before. But around lunchtime, guests arrived as usual, the Uchiha brothers. Where is Minato-san? Sasuke was surprised, sitting in the living room when Naruto brought tea on a tray. Gone somewhere. Where, Kakashi? I forgot. To the symposium. According to his scientific activities. Hatake calmly suggested. How interesting, Itachi drawled, sipping hot green tea. For how long? For 2 weeks. Itachi was clearly thinking about something. What are you doing here? Sasuke asked Kakashi somewhat rudely. Aha, this is my nanny. Naruto answered for Hatake and came up from behind, hugging Kakashi sitting in the chair. Aren't I lucky? Naruto's voice sounded cheerfully literally next to Kakashi's right ear, causing a charge of current to run through his spine. The surprising thing is that Hatake outwardly remained completely unperturbed. Yes, Itachi noted, lucky, so lucky. Sasuke now expressed his opinion with a chuckle. Well, Itachi suddenly stood up, unfortunately, Ototo and I have to go. Aniki? Sasuke was surprised. Yes, next time we will warn about our arrival. Itachi smiled slightly and cast an unreadable glance at his brother. The guests left very quickly. It's strange, Naruto noted, but they probably really have something to do. Okay, I also wanted to show you one game. And yes. I started writing another story, won't you see how I'm doing? And Kakashi, following the two brunettes with his eyes, caught Itachi's strange smile. It seemed to me, or did he really do it on purpose? But why? I would like to know. The first week was coming to an end. Friday. Kakashi got up earlier, according to the already established schedule, knocked on Naruto's room, and hearing his sleepy, "I'm already up," he went to prepare breakfast. After Monday, when Hatake walked into Naruto's room and saw him sleeping, and then, when Naru, awakened by Kakashi's voice, slapped him on the head with a pillow that came to hand, they made an unspoken agreement between themselves: Kakashi does not enter the blonde's room in the morning, and he gets up on his own. That same Monday, but already in the evening, Naruto, with a smile on his face, told and even showed messages from Sasuke, who did not come to school. It turned out that literally on the same Sunday afternoon, Itachi announced that, due to the affairs of their family company engaged in pharmacological research, he and Sasuke should attend a symposium held in Switzerland. Sasuke didn't even have time to look back when he found himself on a plane flying to Europe. That is why the entire working week passed more or less calmly, without unplanned guests. On the one hand, everything went easily and wonderfully. In everyday life, Kakashi and Naruto quickly got used to each other, but there were also difficult moments. Difficult for Hatake himself. Take those few bathroom door confrontations, for example. Kakashi was just getting ready to change clothes. He was wearing nothing but a towel tied around his hips. And it was at that moment that the blonde fell into the bathroom. Naruto blinked his eyes and, apologizing, jumped back out. And those few times when Naru himself forgot to take clean clothes, and therefore went to his room only in a towel. The bathroom was only on the first floor, so Kakashi had the pleasure of seeing this picture, not once, not even twice, but three times. How Naruto managed to forget his clothes 3 times remained a mystery to Hatake. Sitting opposite a blonde man with slightly damp hair from the shower, who was chewing and telling something, Kakashi sipped his black coffee. "A little more, and it will be half the time that I will spend in this house. A bit more. A little bit more. I definitely have to cope. What's wrong with him? Orange shower gel? I can smell this aroma even through the coffee smell. Or maybe I'm simply going crazy from being with the object of desire in a confined space for such a long time. Well, I've already started talking in scientific terms. And what will happen next? There's still more than a week until Minato-sensei arrives. By the way, he doesn't call much. Are you really that busy? Kakashi. Kakashi. Ah. Sorry, what? I thought about it. I'm saying that I'll probably come home from school earlier today. And you? I'll definitely be at the university until 3, maybe even until 4. It's unlikely that I'll be free sooner. It's a pity. Well, okay, I'll think of something. The day at the university was, as luck would have it, difficult for Kakashi. Several tests, difficult surveys. It was as if the teachers had conspired and even gave assignments that were simply unimaginably difficult. Stretching with pleasure while sitting on a chair, Kakashi began to collect his things. It's still worth going to the library. I hope that book will be there. And then home. Wow. I already call the Namikaze mansion home. Kakashi left the classroom, then picked up his outerwear in the locker room and decided to walk to the library building across the street. The library was huge and had several entrances, both internal and external. Hatake walked, immersed in his thoughts, and did not pay attention to the student bustle. When suddenly someone ran up from behind, pulled the guy back, and then planted a kiss on Kakashi's lips. It was truly unexpected, but there was no response from Hatake. When he was released, Kakashi spotted one of his classmates, Sakura Haruno. Well, Hatake, will you date me? How long can you turn your nose up? I can look at someone else too. I've already answered you more than once, Haruno. I'm not interested. It's high time you got yourself someone. Either a dog or a guy. Ahaha. Sakura, you've lost to me for the 3rd time. The voice of the second classmate, Ino Yamanaka, was heard. Our star, as usual, is cold and unapproachable. Oh. Sakura drawled angrily and tried to suck her lips again, but now the effect of surprise did not work. Sakura, I was actually going to the library. I don't seem to have time. Kakashi gently pushed the girl aside and went the same route. But Ino and Sakura, for some reason, suddenly decided to keep Hataki company. Sighing heavily, Kakashi decided to pretend that these two birds were simply not next to him, and in fact they would fly away. It's just that in that crowd of students that was in the courtyard between the buildings, Kakashi could not see one faded look of bright turquoise eyes. Kakashi spent quite some time in the library. At first he received a lot of help, that is, he was hindered by two beauties of the course, Sakura and Ino. And when they finally got tired of sitting in a room where they couldn't make noise, the girls flew off about their business, kissing Kakashi goodbye on the cheek. Hataki didn't like this very much, but he didn't want to be rude to these spinners, so for the most part he pretended that he didn't see or hear them. Having dealt with everything he had planned, Hataki packed his things and went home, or rather to Namike's house. I finished even later than I thought. Completely unexpectedly for himself, Kakashi saw the beginning of 6 in the evening on his wristwatch. It's strange that Naru didn't call. Okay, I'll dial it myself. However, the blonde's phone did not answer. Maybe he left it somewhere and doesn't hear it? Still, Naruto is a bit messy, he likes to leave things in places that are not intended for them. Kakashi smiled warmly, remembering some of the funny moments of this week. Oh, it's just a pity that tomorrow I need to go to the university for a few classes. But then I'll be completely free and will be able to spend more time with Naruto. It's just a pity that it's not quite the way I would like. But everything has its time. I'm sure. Kakashi got home only at the beginning of 7. Opening the door, Hataki entered, took off his shoes and walked into the kitchen. Everywhere it was somehow quiet and somewhat uncomfortable. The kettle was cold, and even the TV in the hall did not work. Strange. Maybe Naru is sitting at the computer? Kakashi took off his outerwear in the guest room, left his bag with notebooks there and went upstairs to the second floor. Kakashi knocked on Naruto's closed door. Naru, I'm already back. What do you want for dinner? I can cook. Hataki pressed the handle in an attempt to open the door, but it turned out that the door was locked. I am not hungry. I'll go to bed early, came Naruto's muffled voice. Kakashi, surprised by all this, asked. Are you sick? Maybe at least some tea. No, we'll talk about both questions tomorrow. Naruto, Hataki began, I have to go back to university tomorrow. I can cook breakfast and leave it on the stove. The answer was only silence. Kakashi was at a loss. For the first time in all the time he had known Naruto, he was not only so little talkative, but also somewhat out of sorts. However, Hataki knew from himself that there are moments when it is better not to touch a person. Apparently, this was one of these cases for Naru himself. Drinking tea alone turned out to be very sad and boring. I had no idea that I was so unaccustomed to my loneliness. But only a week has passed. What will happen after Minato-sensei returns and I move to my apartment? Apparently, I will have to get used to being alone again. However, I will go back to work, and again I will have no time to think about anything serious, even about my personal life, which, it seems, is not in danger of any changes. Okay, I'll go study, and tomorrow, perhaps, Naruto's mood will return and everything will calm down. Immersed in his studies, Kakashi looked up from the laptop screen and textbooks only at 12 at night. Leaning back in his chair, he began to knead his stiff neck, and then massaged his tired eyes. Only now did Hataki hear a noise. It was autumn rain outside. Approaching the window, Kakashi began to peer into the silhouettes of houses blurred by streams of rain and the street itself. Around the burning lantern, it was as if a halo of light was created from drops of water. It was very quiet, there was no sound of cars, much less barking dogs. In many houses the lights had not been on for a long time. People were sleeping. Then the sound of descending steps was heard. Naruto, as it turned out, was also awake. Kakashi listened, then walked to the door and opened it. Naruto went into the kitchen and poured water, and then also quietly went back to his room. At the last moment, Hatake did not go out to the boy, although he wanted to. In the end, he could simply get tired of my company this week. I hope everything will be the same tomorrow. With these thoughts, Hatake quickly took a shower before going to bed and, after changing clothes, went to bed to immediately fall asleep. Getting up on the alarm clock, Kakashi quickly finished his morning routine and went to the kitchen. Having made himself a modest breakfast, sandwiches and coffee, he prepared toast for Naruto. Having finished all his household chores, Hatake went to his classes at the university. The classes went as usual. Besides, thanks to the fact that Kakashi had a lot to do yesterday, he didn't have to go to the library. On the way home, the young man went into a grocery store. Coming out with a package, Kakashi again walked towards the house. However, he stopped near the sign of a candy store. Naruto loves sweets, especially cakes with cream. I'll go get some and maybe they'll cheer him up. As a result, Kakashi also came home with a small branded package from the confectionery shop. However, the picture was similar to yesterday. Silence, darkness and, as Hatake thought, Naruto in his room. The only thing that pleased the young man was the absence of croutons in the kitchen. However, having gone up to the second floor, Kakashi discovered that Naru was missing from his room. Well, apparently, he went for a walk or to see friends, or maybe both. Leaving the cakes on the table, Kakashi did not come up with anything complicated to cook, because he could very well make sandwiches for himself, not for anyone. Chewing simple food and drinking tea, Hatake again went to gnaw on the granite of science. There is no more effective way to forget yourself than to immerse yourself in something. The day was busy, like the whole week, so Hatake, tired of fighting with himself, decided to lie down for a while to rest. I'll lie down for half an hour, then I'll get up, maybe Naru will be back by then. Kakashi was fast asleep, but his sleep was very light, so when the door to his room opened and someone came in, Hatake had already floated out of the depths of the dream and was simply dozing, not wanting to get up yet. But when this someone lay down behind him, the question arose in Hatake's foggy sleep and not completely awakened consciousness: who is this, and why is he doing this? The smell of oranges reached Kakashi's nose. Naruto. Naruto pressed himself against the guy's back and spoke quietly, apparently deciding that Kakashi was still sleeping. I immediately realized that I couldn't interest you. You are special, not like everyone else. You are different, always so collected, serious, calm. From the time I first saw you, I always tried to get into the same car at the same time. You are punctual, always on the same page. At the same time you are going to university. I began to drop by to my father's work more often just because of you, but I didn't even know that you were studying on stream with my dad. The day when I ran into you, perhaps, was the happiest. You know, even if it was an accident, and even that kiss was also an accident, but it was my first kiss. Funny, I guess, a high school student never kissed, huh? But I'm glad it was you. I was so glad that you accidentally kissed me. I'm talking complete nonsense, but I can't keep it to myself anymore. I feel that these feelings are something more than just like, and this makes it more painful to realize that you will never look at me like that. I always knew that you were popular, you just don't have time, that's why you don't have a girl, huh? I even started to regret that I'm not a girl, and the guy. It's painful, sweet and painful. You're close and yet so far away. Yesterday I went to see you at the university. I wanted to make a surprise. I did, not for you, but for myself. I saw her, beautiful, unusual, and pink hair, matching the name. Sakura, as I heard. I hate her. I hate, and I envy, she can pick you up and kiss you like that, and I live with you in the same house and I can't give anything but friendly communication and my stupid smile, because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of losing you forever. It's better to suffer like this, but you will be there, than to tell you and lose. I'm sorry for acting so piggishly, I didn't tell you anything yesterday, but I was afraid to lose my temper, or throw my fists at you, It doesn't matter, tomorrow I'll be the friend you're used to. Good night, Kakashi. Throughout this entire monologue by Naruto, spoken in a whisper, Kakashi lay transfixed with his eyes already open, not believing what he was hearing now. It was like a dream. But after feeling a light kiss on the neck after the last words, and how Naruto carefully climbed out of bed, Hatake said quietly. And where are you going? I am a light sleeper. You woke me up, so now you have to help me fall asleep. Kakashi rolled over onto his back and quickly grabbed Naruto's hand and pulled the guy towards him. Naruto looked at Kakashi with wide-open eyes in fear. Hatake felt how the heart of the guy reclining on top was beating like a sparrow's, quickly and often. Naruto's throat went dry, and he swallowed, continuing, did you hear everything? From the very beginning? Yes, I heard. And yes, from the very beginning, Kakashi peered into the faces of this amazing blonde, so dear to his heart. So what now? What would you like? I don't know. Really? But I know. Kakashi confidently tilted the blonde's head and pulled him into a kiss. At first it was quite innocent, the touch of some lips to others. Then licking Naruto's lower lip, Hatake gently forced his mouth open, deepening the kiss. Naruto groaned, closing his eyes and surrendering to the will of such sweet captivity. Burying one hand in the golden strands, Kakashi began stroking the guy's back with his other hand, going lower and lower. It turned out that Naruto was very sensitive to touch, he began to arch his back when stroked. Going lower, to the edge of his trousers, Hatake only pulled out his tucked-in t-shirt to feel the skin of his back exposed. Stroking his lower back, Kakashi broke the kiss and, slightly biting his lover's lower lip, looked into Naruto's face. Half-closed eyes, rapid breathing, a slight blush, a crazy look from open turquoise bright eyes. Kakashi admired and thought, mine, only mine. I won't give it to anyone. Well, haven't you changed your mind? Hatake's soft, tempting voice. However, Naruto has not yet fully recovered to react adequately. So, no, Kakashi chuckled, we'll convince you. Hatake confidently pulled the hem of Naruto's t-shirt, forcing him to remove that part of his clothing. At some point, Naruto's gaze lit up with a completely different light, and he began not only to help Kakashi take off his clothes, but also pulled Hatake's t-shirt up. Naruto, throwing the removed t-shirt somewhere far away, reached out for another kiss. His skills in kissing were non-existent, but his diligence and desire paid off. Just like Kakashi before, Naruto bit Hatake's lip, and then decided to do more, tracing the contour of his lips with his tongue. Now Naruto wanted to explore Kakashi's mouth with a kiss, which he was not against. Kakashi turned over sharply and crushed the blonde's slender, half-naked body under him. His hands explored the much-desired object, grazing pink nipples and stroking ribs, while Naruto's hands ran through silver hair. Kakashi, moving his kisses to Naruto's neck, began to gradually go lower, unbuttoning his trousers. Kakashi. Sure, Naruto sighed, realizing where those soft lips were moving. After kissing and slightly biting each of the pink nipples, Kakashi paid attention to the guy's flat abs, licking the very attractive pit of the navel, which made Naruto bite his lip, trying to restrain himself. Having unbuttoned his trousers, Hatake stood up and looked at the beautiful body spread out under him, and pulled off his jeans along with his underwear. Naruto blushed at this, but still made no attempts to cover himself, only squeezing the edge of the pillow and blanket in his hands. "Beautiful, just as I thought," Kakashi grinned, examining the white naked body as if it were his own possession. Sunday morning started late for Naruto, very late, but pleasantly so. It's especially nice when held in hugs. Naruto's head was resting on Kakashi's shoulder, his right arm was thrown over his torso, the golden blonde was hugging Hatake like his favorite toy. Kakashi had not slept for a long time, trying not to wake up his lover, but still could not resist and, thoughtfully, began to finger the golden strands of hair. Inhaling this amazing aroma of oranges, mixed with the smell of .A. Both fell asleep only in the morning, but this was due to Kakashi, who was never satisfied with his lover. Therefore, even after waking up, Hatake did not get out of the cocoon of Naruto's arms and legs, also enjoying what he had only dreamed of. The fidgety, awakened Naruto raised his amazing eyes to Kakashi. "Good morning, son," Hatake greeted his beloved, smiling softly. "Good, sure. Still, this is not a dream," Naruto stated affirmatively. "I still doubted it." "Yes, I doubted it too." Kakashi still hasn't stopped fingering his golden curls. "So, on Monday morning, you didn't wake me up with a pillow?" Naru blushed a little. "No, I just didn't want to show off my morning hard-on, and especially to you. You know, I can be nervous." Now I know," Kakashi grinned, "besides, now you have absolutely nothing to hide from me. I've already looked at everything." "Yeah. I had no idea that you were so insatiable." "Ha. In the shower?" "Perhaps." Naruto tried to sit up. "Oh ho ho, you monster, Kakashi. It's okay, everything will pass." Hatake, who had already gotten out of bed in all his naked beauty, without ceremony or asking permission, picked up the groaning Naruto in his arms and walked towards the bathroom. "What are you doing?" "Put it in its place. I am quite capable of walking myself." Yes, then you will show your abilities." Kakashi quite deftly managed to open the door of both his room and the bathroom. Hatake released the blonde only in the shower. He immediately adjusted the water and began to soap Naruto himself, although he bawled, clearly being against it. Naruto hissed sometimes, like a snake. After all, the night was stormy, which is why there were traces of bites and scratches on the body. Therefore, when soap suds got on the wounds, Naru hissed. "Stop making these sounds," Kakashi muttered, gently soaping the back of his beloved Sunday. "By the way, you also cut my back well." "When? Where? Let me have a look." Naruto immediately switched gears and began to spin around. "Why are you so restless?" Hatake sighed heavily and, accepting that Naru would not calm down until he saw everything, turned his back to him. "It's true." "Wow, but I don't remember this." "Well, yes, but who dug their nails into me? And it seems like your nails are not long, but it was noticeable." "Then we'll treat." Naruto now lathered his hands and began to gently stroke Kakashi's body with them. "Naruto, if you don't stop, you'll be facing the wall," Kakashi said through his teeth, clenching his hands into fists. "Why won't I stop?" Naru didn't understand, and why is it still facing the wall? It sounds like a line from a cheap TV series. By the way, your rear view is also okay. Hatake remained silent, then turned sharply, and before Naruto had time to come to his senses, his lips were already crushed in a kiss. Kakashi turned out to be very sensitive to the blonde's touches, and because of this, he was easily excitable. Before Naruto had time to catch his breath from the abruptly interrupted kiss, he actually found himself facing the wall. Naru involuntarily leaned his palms on her, and immediately felt how Kakashi began to enter him. Kakashi got up on time, but waking up Naruto turned out to be quite a task. The blonde practically did not react to persuasion and simple shaking. Smiling his most sly smile, Kakashi pulled the blanket off the naked Naru. It turned out to be very lucky that the blonde was sleeping on his back, with his hands behind his head. This week has flown by even faster than the previous one. Kakashi, as never before, was in a hurry to go home to Naruto after class. They still couldn't get enough of each other, and every day was almost a continuous marathon, if not for Hataki's responsibility. Arriving home, the first thing he did was sit in the living room with a laptop for his studies, while Naruto also sat down next to him. Only after completing everything planned by Kakashi, he allowed himself and Naru to relax. Hataki wanted to spend every minute, every second of the time spent together usefully. Without losing this opportunity. Naruto often blubbered, but he understood that this was indeed the right thing to do. On Friday evening, when both were lying on the carpet in the living room, naked, as had become their habit, after a stormy day, Naruto rolled over onto his stomach and laid his head on Kakashi's chest. "Tell me, sure, so we're dating now?" "Yes." "And are you serious about this?" "It depends on what you mean by this word," Hataki chuckled, fingering Naruto's strands of hair out of habit. "I'm serious." "Answer." "Yes. This is serious for me. I only need you. And I'm even ready to tell Minato-sensei this, although I feel that he won't rush to hug me, although maybe he will, but he certainly won't hug me." Phew. Naruto exhaled and lay down silently. What were all these questions? Well, it's better to clarify. "Oh, by the way, you don't have to tell Dad this. I'll tell you myself, without you. It will be easier." "What about Sasuke?" Kakashi asked a question that had interested him for a long time. "What does Sasuke have to do with it? After all, he likes you. Is it true?" Naruto's turquoise eyes expressed sincere surprise. "Yes, you are confusing something. Naru, it's just that you don't see other people's feelings. I noticed this immediately." "Yeah. Still, it's kind of ridiculous. Sasuke is my childhood friend. He understands me because he has known me for a long time. Same with Itachi. They often stayed at home with us, that is, with me and my dad. Fugaku-san was my father's senpai from school. It even seems to me that Dad felt something for him then. However, I could be wrong. Still, Dad loved Mom very much. I don't know how it happened, but after school, Dad and Fugaku-san crossed paths again somewhere. I had just been born. So they began to become family friends, so to speak. Although it was more that my dad stayed with me, Sasuke and Itachi. He was something like a nanny," Naruto chuckled, remembering his childhood years. "Back then he didn't teach and wasn't so busy. But the funny thing is that Sasuke then so confidently declared that he loved my dad. Therefore, what you say, in my opinion, is incorrect." "What about Itachi then?" Listening to the reasoning of his beloved Naru was curious and interesting for Kakashi, and besides, Hataki was touched by these reasoning. "What about Itachi?" "He loves my dad too. So I don't even know how my father will deal with all this. For us, this probably runs in the family. We are absolutely blind to what concerns us, but we see clearly what feelings people have for each other." "Here. You contradict yourself, son. This could mean that you don't see how Sasuke feels about you." "Not really. I know, I feel like I'm right. Sasuke is my friend, and in me, even if, as you say, he feels something for me, he sees only my father. We're alike. That's all. And anyway, why should I, lying here with you, discuss Sasuke? You know, we don't have much time left. Then we will have to meet only at your place. Have you already planned everything? Should you ask me? Of course, I planned it. And why ask you? Don't you want me anymore? I want it as much as I want," and Hataki tilted Naruto's head for a kiss. The entire Saturday was devoted to general cleaning of the house. It's not that the guys littered much during these 2 weeks, but putting the house in complete order was a completely reasonable idea. Minato called, saying that he would arrive late on Saturday evening. That's why Naruto, already anticipating a lonely night in his bedroom, was already homesick. He was used to Hatake always being around, especially at night. You quickly get used to good things, Kakashi thought in the same vein. He had also gotten used to Naruto's orange scent this week and to the fact that his flexible, toned body was always nearby, in the same bed with him. Late in the evening, when Kakashi and Naruto were drinking tea in the kitchen, and Naruto was blushing, remembering the wonderful sensations that he experienced on the table, and not sitting at it, Minato finally arrived. Naruto, hearing the sound of the front door opening, immediately ran out to meet his father. Kakashi followed. The usual greetings, questions, and random answers, things that need to be brought in and then sorted out are the usual bustle after arrival. Kakashi, having provided all possible assistance, retired to his room under a plausible pretext, leaving his son alone with his father. While Hatake himself, putting on headphones, began studying, Minato managed to change clothes, take a shower and sit down in the living room to drink the tea Naruto had prepared. At first there was a normal conversation about the trip. At the same time, Naruto noticed that while talking about the interesting people he met at the symposium, Minato stumbled a little and quickly changed the topic. "Well, how are you doing here? I hope everything is fine with your studies." "Yes, everything is fine. And now I have a boyfriend." "Yes? Congratulations." "What? Sorry. Did I hear wrong? What kind of guy is this?" "Naruto?" "Ordinary," chuckled the sly Naru. "If you don't give your consent, I'll move in with him." "I forbid you." "Will I move? Is he also older than you?" "Who is he? Who spoiled my innocent son for me?" "You don't know him." Naruto waved his hand. "What? Oh. So I know him for sure." "Who?" "Whoa, it can't be. Don't tell me it's Kakashi-kun." Minato jumped up and began to rush around the room. "I will not say." "How? How could he? I entrusted him with the most valuable things. And he—" "Yes, I will kill him." Minato growled and rushed towards the guest room. "Dad, how do you like Itachi in bed?" Naruto shouted after him. "Yes, okay," Minato muttered and froze, realizing what he blurted out automatically. How do you know?" "Dad," Naru began calmly, "first, sort out your personal life. Besides, I'm not going to follow your lead. Yes, I'm your son. Yes, I will always be your child. But I don't want to live at the same time always close by and go against my own feelings. Besides, as I understand it, you have a triangle outlined there, or have you already decided everything peacefully?" Naruto stared with sincere curiosity at his father. But Minato gradually became like an overripe tomato. The entire time Naruto spoke, he stood there. And then he suddenly collapsed into a chair and covered his face with his palms. "You are right. You're right about everything. I'm setting such a bad example for you. Even worse. These Uchihas won't leave me alone. They went to Daddy, no less. I thought they came to you all the time, but it turned out that they came to me. Oh, Kami-sama. What should I do?" To establish a personal life, Naruto chuckled and sat on the armrest of his father's chair, patting Minato on the shoulder, "And I'll figure it out somehow." On Sunday morning, Kakashi, who got up early, quickly washed his face and went to the kitchen. Namikaze Hatake overheard yesterday's argument between son and father. More precisely, Minato's screams could be heard in the background, but Kakashi considered it inappropriate to listen to what exactly the sensei was shouting, which he did not regret. Before Hatake could enter the kitchen, he was immediately pressed against the wall by the blonde. At first, Kakashi thought that Minato had decided to strangle him. However, when his lips were pressed into such a familiar way of kissing, Hatake realized that his first thought was wrong. "I missed you, how I missed you," Naruto said, tearing away from his lover's lips. "I'm starting to doubt that I'll be able to meet with you only in fits and starts." "Well, it's too early to talk about this," Kakashi tried to reason with his boyfriend, while, as usual, fingering Naruto's disheveled golden strands. "No, that's it. I talked to my dad yesterday. He, approved of our relationship." "Oh really? That's why he showed his joy so loudly yesterday?" "I didn't listen, but the scream was decent," Kakashi chuckled. "Yes. This was exactly the joy. Ha! I almost believe it. Okay, let's go to breakfast, manipulator," and Kakashi, slightly pushing Naru aside, went about his usual business. When the table was set for 3, and Naruto and Kakashi were about to start breakfast, Minato came down. Muttering something unintelligible, he was the first to start eating. Naru and Kakashi exchanged glances and soon joined him. Pouring coffee into cups and adding cream to Naruto, Kakashi began to wait with curiosity for Minato-sensei to express everything that was painful. "And this moment has come. Kakashi-kun. I didn't expect it at all." Minato apparently began an accusatory speech, but was interrupted by Naruto. "Cough, cough, cough. Sorry, my throat is sore." "Continue, Dad, continue." Naruto looked at his parent with an innocent look. Minato, moving his legs trampled by his son further, threw an offended look at Naru and, sighing, continued. "I didn't expect at all, that you would handle Naruto so well." Minato finished with completely different words than he wanted. "Yes, I didn't expect it either." Kakashi remained impassive, although these behind-the-scenes, or rather under-the-table intrigues, that is, trampling of limbs, did not pass his attention. "I already packed my bag, I just wanted to say goodbye." "Already?" Both Namikazes, father and son, asked the question at the same time. "Yes, thank you for your trust, sensei. This is really very important to me." Kakashi emphasized the word "this," implying Minato's approval of Naruto's personal life. Minato sighed, "Okay, do what you want. Will not interfere." Naruto, see Kakashi-kun out. By the way, Hatake, be prepared for the fact that now I will ask you even more. Minato threatened. By the way, do you need a ride? Thank you, Minato-sensei, for everything, but I'll get there myself. There are practically no things. Kakashi got up from the table and went to the guest room to get his bags. Soon, dressed Naruto and Kakashi walked out of the house onto the autumn street. The road to the bus stop passed in almost silence, but standing waiting for the right bus, Naruto said. I don't know what and how you planned for our relationship. But I'm not just letting you go anywhere. I will come to your apartment. I remember the address, so keep in mind that you are only mine, period. Everything was said somewhat gloomily and offended. Kakashi, having listened to his beloved, chuckled and, quickly leaning over, kissed him deeply, and pulling away, said. This is my seal for you, so that you also remember who you belong to. Hatake grinned and walked closer to the transport moving to the stop. And from behind came a quiet voice. I always remember. The calendar autumn has ended, the calendar winter has arrived, so far without snow, but cold. Kakashi met with Naruto throughout this time. The first weeks were especially difficult. It turned out that it was inconvenient for both of them to meet on weekdays. In addition, Kakashi began to work part-time again, which also took time. But Naruto was already busy on weekdays with his father, who took up intensive training of his son, or rather preparing him for final exams. Minato figured that the sooner preparations began, the better. The result was that Naruto, not being able to see Kakashi alone, but only briefly at the university when he visited his father, began to stay at Hatake's apartment on weekends. The blonde was very annoyed by this. That is why on the 1st of December, which fell on a Friday, Naruto showed up at Hitaki's rented apartment with 2 bags. Sunshine, I don't mind, but it feels like you're moving. Kakashi, who was doing a report on his laptop and stayed at home that Friday, watched with interest as Naruto puffed, rummaging through his bags. I'm moving. I'm sick of everything. Naruto muttered and buried himself in his bag again. Or more precisely, I've had enough of everything. On weekdays I don't see you. More precisely, those few minutes, and not every day, are not enough for me at the university. I work in the evenings, so, Sunshine, I can't give you the attention you deserve. It doesn't matter. I even want to just sleep next to you. This, you know, calms me down. Fine. What else? Hitaki felt that there were several reasons for such a drastic decision. I'm sick of all the bedlam that's going on in our house. I never thought I would say this. But I will. I'm sick of these Uchiha. They are in our house as if they were at home. They come to us every single day. Did I tell my father to sort out his personal life? Said. But he just runs around and creates problems. And I am like a buffer between them. Enough. Yes, how much can you already? They have already blown my mind, both with this preparation for exams, which will be only in 4 months, and with their tangled relationships. Ugh. Well, my father likes both Sasuke and Itachi, so I don't mind. I'm all ready for it. If only they didn't completely blow my mind. In short, sure, I'm moving in with you. And I don't care that you only have 1 room here. In the end, let's rent another apartment. And pay? Son, I completely agree with you. But what I get is only enough for rent. There will already be a strain on groceries and household items. I forgot to say. These Uchihas and my father have messed with my head. They took me to the same magazine where my first story was published. In addition, one small publishing house is offering to publish the stories that are in my cycle. Are these the ones by month? Yes. So maybe there will be something from book sales too. In short, we're in the money. But I even agree to live here, as long as it's with you and away from those crazy 3. And it's not spring for there to be such aggravations on the basis of love, said Naruto, turning to himself. Should I write a story on this topic? Or even a novel? Kakashi, looking at the thoughtful face of his creative genius, sighed, closed the window with the report, and went online to look at rental housing offers. Over the next week, taking time off from his part-time job, Kakashi and Naruto traveled to all the options they had noted. In the end, we settled on 1 2-room apartment, located conveniently enough for both study and work. For a week, Naruto's phone didn't stop ringing. Minato called his son almost all the time. And at the university, Kakashi was already tired of answering Namikaze-sensei about how his son was doing, what he was doing and why he wasn't answering calls. Having decided on housing and paying in advance for a couple of months, Naruto and Kakashi arranged a big move on Saturday, December 9th. The only big thing about it was the word itself, which the future writer Naruto liked in such a phrase. The whole day was spent on bringing the new apartment into an acceptable form, as well as arranging the existing things. But when it was all over, and Naruto and Kakashi were now sitting in their kitchen and drinking green tea, the golden blonde's face shone like a polished coin. Well, that's it, said Naru. Now I can call my father and tell him about the move. At the same time, I'll find out what he decided with his suitors. Kakashi chuckled and only continued to drink tea, listening out of the corner of his ear to how the expressive representatives of the Namikaze family communicate. Sunday morning started off pleasantly for Kakashi. His orange-smelling lover clearly planned to spend the whole day in bed, since Naruto was still unobtrusively but confidently covering Hitaki's chest with kisses and going down along his body. Good morning, Son, Kakashi smiled and pulled Naruto towards him for a kiss. Kind. You know, sure, today is a holiday. 10th of December. Naruto said cheerfully. What kind of holiday is this? This is the first time I've heard of it, Kakashi was surprised. Naturally. This is our holiday. From this day, consider us starting our life together. What happened before that? Naru waved his hand dismissively, this doesn't count. And I'll tell you why. First, we chose this apartment together. Second, they removed everything together and, consider it, made it their own. And third, it was our first time spending the night here, it was really a boring night, we slept simply. Son, strength is needed for feats. In case you forgot, yesterday it was I who put you to bed. Oh, well, yes. Okay, we'll catch up. Naruto with a smile began to lean over Hatake for a kiss, when the front door rang. Well, who else was brought at such a bad time? Naruto muttered and climbed out of bed. Pulling on his trousers, Naru left the bedroom, not even noticing that the jeans were not his, but Kakashi's. Hatake, thinking that it was just someone who had entered the wrong door, did not get out of bed, basking and waiting for Naruto. However, the dissatisfied voice of his beloved, "Why did you come to us? And all together?" made Kakashi think that plans were apparently changing. Moreover, Naru's exclamation received a laconic answer, "How are you talking to your father? And anyway, I haven't seen you for over a week." Therefore, sighing, Kakashi began to get dressed, realizing that it seemed that Naruto's relatives and future relatives had come, and possibly someone else. This is where the story ends.